The Friedrich Naumann Foundation is an internationally renowned organization when it comes to fighting for human rights. To achieve this key goal, they have been working closely with multiple organizations and institutions to ensure communities and governments understand issues concerning human rights and gender-based violence so as to enable communities fight for their rights. In 2020, FNF, in collaboration with the Kilimanjaro Legal Aid and Human Rights Center, KWIECO, started a project known as A Safe Society for Development in 2 wards of Karansi and Donamurwa in Siha district, Kilimanjaro region. The aim of the project was to prevent the practice of female genital mutilation of young girls and women, as it is a violation of the law and human rights.
Women have had female genital mutilation done to them when they were children, causing them great pain. So together with KWIECO, we initiated this project to make the community recognize this as abuse of the girl child and women in general. Encouraging change was done by different methods. First, through traditional elders. We educated them on the dangers of this practice so they can participate in reaching out to the community. Through them, we were able to reach out to the women who perform female genital mutilation, who were able to educate them so they could understand the negative side effects and understand it is a problem within the community.
What action was undertaken by FNF to ensure success in the fight against female genital mutilation in the 2 wards?
We managed to send an employee from KWIECO to attend a course in France, to a college which specializes in courses on human rights. Thanks to this course, the employee was able to initiate big projects to fight against gender-based abuse in our areas of work. So the capacity building we did through the Friedrich Naumann Foundation has enabled KWIECO to effectively implement the project and reach out to the targeted community. For us at Friedrich Naumann Foundation, it is important to reach down to the community base. We shouldn't just sit dreaming of policies, but ensure they are solid and raise awareness in the community of what is going on around them so that they become the guardians and good ambassadors of human rights.
What were the main reasons for undertaking this project to fight female genital mutilation amongst the Maasai in Siha district?
In presenting our report at regional level, it became apparent in Siha district, especially Donamurwa ward, there were major infringements of human rights, especially when it came to female genital mutilation, childhood pregnancy, and marriage. The first goal of the A Safe community, our development enabled by FNF, is a safe community and to empower economically women and youth. The second one is to rescue women and the girl child from female genital mutilation and childhood pregnancies.
According to Elizabeth Mushi, in accordance with Maasai custom, traditional leaders hold the most power and influence in the community. So they started by educating them first on the dangers of female genital mutilation, although it was no easy thing.
We were able to educate around 132 traditional elders called Malai Guanani of Donamurwa and Karanasi ward. Malai Guanani are traditional elders of great standing in the community. whose opinions are respected. We were able to win them over by educating them and informing them of the laws of the Republic of Tanzania and their punishment, which prohibits female genital mutilation. The elders attended a 3-day course, and at the end, they rejected and were prepared to speak out against female genital mutilation. But even during the meetings of the Malai Guanani elders, how to prevent gender-based abuse and female genital mutilation is always a major topic.
After educating them on the dangers of female genital mutilation to the girl child and women, the traditional leaders agreed to have this education be given to young girls and women in their community.
We were able to educate some 132 Mangariba, who traditionally perform female genital mutilation and depended on it as a means of livelihood. But after receiving that education, the Mangariba destroyed the instrument they used, mostly hides, knives, other things, as well as traditional medicine. They also received training on entrepreneurship, business plans, and human rights. Up to now, KWIECO and the Friedrich Naumann Foundation pride ourselves in saying they are no longer Mangariba, as they have put behind their former occupation, and we now call them activists.
These traditional leaders elaborate more on the state of female genital mutilation before and after implementation of the project by FNF and KWIECO.
KWIECO came to increase our education. We then began to speak openly about female genital mutilation in our village meetings. In our traditional ceremonies, we gave this education, and we were able to reach a large number of people, and it gave women and girls confidence. This is something that, along with education, we will continue doing. What we are currently doing is forming village committees consisting of elders working alongside women. When we hear of a child being born in a boma, we make sure to recognize the parents, and we tell the mother and father we don't want to hear about the child having female genital mutilation performed on her, and that we will watch closely. Also, we have put in place bylaws which will see the mother and the whole family punished. We as traditional leaders have accepted this and given permission to use all venues, such as places of worship and public gatherings, for elders to decry this practice, people to stop it, and children to go to school, as it is the end of female genital mutilation, because we have joined hands with the government to ensure it doesn't happen in our community. We thank God our community now understands this.
Women known as Mangariba are the ones who carry out female genital mutilation, and after receiving education on the dangers of this practice and agreeing to stop doing it, they have now become activists and educators in the communities.
They began by educating us on female genital mutilation, causing us to stop this practice as we now saw it as harmful. When the schools closed, I saw it as my opportunity, as I would tell them, come quickly to be circumcised before the schools open. By the time they opened, all the children were circumcised. Each month, we would circumcise between 60 and 70 pupils. I don't know the numbers in a year, but they were many. The charge per child was 50,000, and if there were many, it would drop to 30,000. When I was done, I would have all the meat from a pelvis to myself. When a cow was slaughtered for the occasion of circumcision, I would get a person to help me carry it. And I felt like a president. You know Samia? During this time, you are like Samia. I feel now like I'm on the right path. I will no longer mutilate someone's body. I will not spill a drop of someone's blood. I will no longer circumcise people. When we were given education to stop us from practicing female genital mutilation, we saw it as a good thing and took the initiative of forming groups to prevent us from doing it again. It has helped us as we are able to start a maize business and work together in the knowledge what we are doing is legal, and the group has now grown to 15 members. I used to be a midwife who helped many women during delivery, but we also did other things. It used to be, if a young woman was uncircumcised, we would wait until she delivered her baby before circumcising her, so she wouldn't return to her husband uncircumcised. Because she was late in getting circumcised, that is why we would bide our time until she gave birth. In a month, about 10 of such women could be found, not in one place, but different locations. Now, if we see someone practicing female genital mutilation or causing childhood pregnancies, we inform our traditional elders and the government.
Maasai youth explain what they have done to prevent this practice in their communities after being educated on its dangers.
Female circumcision was one of our traditions, which insisted that all girls of our tribes must be circumcised. If you were refused, you were ostracized by the community. But after the start of the FNF and KWIECO project, women were educated, including us, youth.
30 youth initially attended seminars. Together with facilitators, we went out to educate our fellow youth in the ward, which was 150 youth from 4 villages. We told the community that we, the youth from Doyomurwa, are ready to marry someone who has not undergone female genital mutilation, because the whole practice of female genital mutilation is abuse against the girl child, and not to prevent her from being promiscuous, and to make her a proper mother of a family. Also, not a place to send the child to learn about their responsibilities in a marriage, as people used to think. The negative effects of female genital mutilation are already visible in our families. So it is time for our customs and traditions to change. We started a campaign against female genital mutilation. We worked together with the local government, mainly the officers of village executives, ward, and other public officers.
For example, there is Donyomurwa Primary School, which we visited, gathered the pupils and told them if they experience any abuse, they are to immediately inform their teachers. We warned people who commit this act that all children will be inspected when they join the school. And this caused great consternation among those carrying out this practice. After this, we were asked to spread this education to the community, where I personally was able to reach 80 youth.
The fight against female genital mutilation has even been carried out in places of worship and health clinics.
We were able to educate our worshippers when we met for worship and in religious lessons in schools. We continue educating our youth at primary and secondary schools, also during religious meetings. We continue to educate people against abusive behavior, and they understand us.
When an expectant woman comes to the labor ward to give birth, we inspect her. Those from the older generation, many we find have had female genital mutilation done on them. But the girl children coming to the clinic for treatment, we find many haven't had female genital mutilation done to them. We continue giving education against this practice to mothers who come to the health clinic, also in places of worship. This practice of female genital mutilation has become a major problem in the Maasai community and among people from Meru. We will continue educating mothers against this practice when they come to the clinic, and we will continue inspecting their children to discern if this practice is really dying out or otherwise, as it is still a major problem.
FNF and KWIECO also took the initiative of going to primary schools to instill at an early age the topic of human rights. Working with teachers, they formed clubs to educate children on human rights, discussing topics like female genital mutilation, childhood pregnancy, and marriage.
We have set aside one day of each week to have a meeting with the children. First, those who we chose to join the club, we sit with them and teach them methods of fighting abuse in their respective communities. After teaching these chosen club members, we then educate the entire school, so this education spreads to all the school children. We educate them about abuse so they can take this education to their parents and about any other concern affecting their community, like the Maasai.
The victims of female genital mutilation say the practice has led to daily pain, affected the marriage and ability to give birth.
Really, I don't know how to explain it. You feel nothing when you sleep with your partner. You just do it to please your husband. Some flee from their marriages, so the consequences are big. When you give birth, you bleed a lot, shocking the parent who wonders why this is happening. But they are taken to be educated that it's due to female genital mutilation and consequently agree to stop this practice. I had female genital mutilation when I was 13. I was then married aged 14, which is plain abuse against children. I have 8 children. 3 are already married before the legal age and before I got this education. This is the month when female genital mutilation is carried out on young girls. When we hear of a ceremony in preparation of female genital mutilation taking place, we go there, even when we meet with resistance, for we know that there are many obstacles. We are usually questioned intensely. But I have just cause of standing up and speaking words which I can see strike home to those concerned, who then release the children. We are 3 women, 2 Maasai and 1 who isn't. 2 of us have had female genital mutilation done to us, but the other hasn't. My husband prefers the company of a woman who hasn't had female genital mutilation done to her. He only sleeps with me if he wants a child, but has nothing else to do with me. He prefers the company of the other woman and spends the family income on her. We came to the conclusion all these problems were largely caused by female genital mutilation.
Female genital mutilation was a way for the Mangaribas to earn an income in the Maasai communities. What steps have FNF and KWIECO undertaken to find them alternative sources of income after they agreed to stop the practices?
Through this project, we looked at ways of establishing entrepreneurship groups for starting small business projects to help women increase their income. It was a means of persuading them to stop female genital mutilation, which was against the human rights of the girl child, by finding them alternative sources of income. We educated them on entrepreneurship to enable them to start their own businesses. We have seen large positive changes. We taught the women how to be independent, to start a business, and they have managed to establish large businesses from humble beginnings. They started by buying maize and beans to sell at markets. So through the project, they have learned how, by making small savings with proper planning, they have been able to stop using female genital mutilation as a source of income. They are now small business owners.
Education on entrepreneurship for the Maasai women in Donyamurwa ward has resulted in 52 women's groups with 1,300 members to build up savings of 172,800,000 shillings within a short while.
I borrowed 300,000 shillings. From that money, I managed to buy 2 goats and both have given birth. Things are now better for me and my children. With a little money remaining, I do a little business in the market. I buy tomatoes and vegetables to help sustain my family. Things used to be much tougher for us. I used to rely totally on the father. For example, even getting soap was difficult. If my child was turned away from school, they just stayed home because of the financial constraints. We had no money, we had nothing. But when FNF and KWIECO came, changes have occurred, and even my health is better. I don't lack soap, and even my husband respects me, because it used to be after he wakes up, you don't see him for the whole day. And if you ask him for money for our daily needs, he said I will have to deal with it myself. Now things are better for me and my family. In the second year, I borrowed 400,000 shillings and managed to bring piped water to the house. We used to go to the river to fetch water. When you leave in the morning, you return in the evening. But since I managed to bring piped water home, I am now able to water my goats comfortably and sell water to as many of my neighbors who don't have piped water, and so I increased my income. I am now much better off. I took a loan of 300,000 shillings, which I used to lay the foundation of my house, after which I gradually managed to pay back the loan to the group. After that, I borrowed 500,000 shillings to continue the construction of my house and pay school fees for my children while improving the quality of my life. I borrowed 200,000 shillings and bought 4 hectares, where I managed to grow maize and beans to provide food for my children. Here at home, we didn't have to sell goats to buy food. Me and my husband decided to use the money from the loan to grow food crops. Truly, it brought some peace and comfort at home, as we didn't have to sell our goats to buy food. After the project came, we formed a group. Initially, we were 10, but now we are 23. We gave each other loans, and I took a loan which I used to buy a hosepipe for watering gardens. I started a vegetable plot from which my family benefits, as there is now no shortage of vegetables at home, and I sell off the surplus vegetables to my neighbors. When I sell my vegetables, I get between 50 to 100,000 shillings, enough to cover the small daily expenses of my home. As a woman, I can heartfully say I am very proud of this. I am now mentally more alert, and from the profit I made, I swear to God I bought a modern breed of cow which is there at home. I am proud as a woman. I was able to teach entrepreneurship to my children and increase the household income.
The government appreciates the role of FNF and KWIECO have played in bringing about positive change to the communities and economy of Siha district.
There is nothing nicer than building the capacity of someone to be able to alter negative ideas, which prevented them from contributing to development, such as a girl child isn't allowed to go to school and has to undergo female genital mutilation. But now the community has accepted change. At the end of the day, this will lead to a progressive generation.
The pastoral nomadic Maasai community is found in both Tanzania and Kenya. Geographically, they're split by a border, but their language and customs remain the same. Therefore, it is no surprise that female genital mutilation is also prevalent in Kenya, despite both countries being signatories to the Human Rights Charter.
It isn't right, and I am seeing a great deal of illegal acts, which have to be fought against 100%. The government needs to take action against it, like our neighbors Tanzania and Uganda. All children at risk of female genital mutilation have to be protected, and legal action taken against those who carry out this practice, because it's against human rights. This is no longer something to discuss, but rather to take action and let justice run its course.
So, what do you gain by doing female genital mutilation? This is why we oppose this practice, and those doing it must be monitored and arrested, as this is an outdated custom.
The tradition of female genital mutilation has greater strength than any government law, but we also need organizations that inform the community on the dangers of this practice. They should not just sit in their offices in Nairobi, but rather go out of the cities and also to the countries around us.
After implementing the project for 4 years in Siha district, FNF and KWIECO have witnessed big changes after educating targeted groups who recognize the dangers of female genital mutilation, agreed to stop and join the fight against it. This has resulted in happier communities and families who are also financially better off compared to the life before the project.
We are saying no more child marriages, no more female genital mutilation, no more gender violence. Children must get education.
We were able to involve traditional leaders and elders, along with some men, in changing the life of the girl child. They are the voice for change. That is the main thing. In other areas, we have worked together with elders and the community to put in place bylaws which protect those who are harmed by traditional practices. This is something we are proud of. If we had not gone there to do this work, perhaps there wouldn't have been bylaws in place which they participated in putting in place. We were also able to reach out to the youth. We reached a large percentage of the youth who also participated in this education. They have been made aware and are now good ambassadors in safeguarding the rights of women and the girl child. But we are also proud of making the lives of a large number of women more secure, free, independent, and they are able to improve their lives economically. They are now able to stand up and be heard in the community, something they were prohibited from doing.
What message do the beneficiaries of a safe community for our development have to say to FNF, KWIECO, and the government?
The organization should continue to encourage us, teach us, because it has brought me up a long way.
As we continue to receive education and increase more new groups, we are broadening the education on this issue.
Continue educating the community, especially pastoralists, as they are very conservative, so they are able to become aware of the consequences of their action and so to safeguard their children to enable us to have a generation of educated girl children who will bring development to our people.
Continue teaching us, continue supporting us to rescue our children from this disaster. Because now, if a child doesn't want to go to school, they are asked why, because they can't say they don't have a pen, soap, or school fees.
Dear viewer, We've reached the end of the special program about the Safe Community for Our Development project, which has been advocating on human rights and against female genital mutilation for 4 years in Siha district. The expectations of FNF and KWIECO is for more Maasai communities within a short time to have an understanding of human rights and the dangers of female genital mutilation to the girl child and women. Until next time, all the best from FNF and KWIECO.
Yeah.